Okay, hold on, I'm here. Hey guys, how you doing? I guess the chapters are just being released on Thursday now, so, that's a scheduling snafu I'll have to correct. Hey everybody, Tekking here, Law Tekking to be precise, with One Piece Chapter 918 review, titled Luffy-Taro Repays the Favor. And who does Luffy-Taro repay the favor to? I'll tell you right now, he repays the favor to all of those poor peasants living in Leftover Town, because this man has a heart of gold and rubber, but mostly gold. What the hell are you doing here, Dust Skull? What is it? Alright, I guess you can hang out. I'm a big fan of Gen 3 Pokemon, so that's fine, but a little bit disconcerting while you're here. Alright. Anyway, we start off the cover page this week with the end of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet serial. Part 1. This has been a very long cover serial, and you can tell Oda put a lot of effort into this. He was like, alright, let's just gonna go down the line. He could have did it the same thing he did with the Straw Hat separation serial. Remember that, when the Straw Hats were separated at Sabaody, and he did the cover serial? I think each Straw Hat only had 2 chapters to see what they were doing, and this was expanded upon in the anime, of course. But in the manga, we only got 2 chapters. But here, every member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet got at least 4 or 5. I think 5 bare minimum for each one of what they were doing. Orlumbus got like 8, and even Bellamy got 2. No, he got 3. And we're ending it out here with just basically panels showcasing all of them. So in the first one here, we have Cavendish and his Jolly Roger, Bartolomeo in the Jolly Roger, the Barto Club, and then Sai and the sigil of the Happo Navy. I don't think we've ever seen the Happo Navy's symbol before. It's just the kanji for it, nothing special. We have seen the beautiful pirates Jolly Roger, and is that okay to show? Okay. And the Barto Club's Jolly Roger, we saw that as well. Now, I thought about this for a second, like, was this actually Bellamy was the one that designed these flags? And I don't think it is, because the Barto Club's the one we see in the chapter. It's, like, pretty much exactly the same as the one we saw previously in the anime. Same thing with the beautiful pirates. They really haven't changed their design all too much. But then again, I mean, Bellamy, he could have, like, redesigned them and given them, like, just better quality flags, because we found out last chapter that that town he's working at has unrippable cloth. And by the way, I just want to address something here really quick, and it's just really something that I found out about, like, I realized about the One Piece story. Okay, so last week I just kind of glanced over the Bellamy serial, and some people pointed out, like, Matt, he is designing a new flag for the Straw Hats. He's going to make a new flag for Luffy with the Straw Hat Jolly Roger, but it's going to be made of that unrippable cloth, and he's going to present it to him as a gift. That's what he's doing. He's clearly designing the Straw Hat flag. And you know what I discovered? In this world of One Piece, there's a lot of things that are important to pirates. Ships are one of them. We had a whole arc, really 2. Water 7 and Enies Lobby focused around the ship thing, and I really felt emotion for Mary, even though it was really just a ship made of wood. It wasn't, though. It was a ship made of dreams, you know what I mean? So I was pretty sad when Mary got burned, and then the arc before that, though, the Davy Back fight, which is an arc that I usually avoid whenever I'm rereading One Piece or rewatching it. I'm not a fan of the Davy Back fight. That was the arc that really focused on how important the flag, or the symbol, the Jolly Roger was to the pirate crew. And you know what I realized? I realized that I just really do not care about flags as much as I did with, like, the ships. I know what Oda was going for. I know what he was going for. It's like the flag is like the symbol for what a pirate is, and if that flag were to be stolen by another crew, then that's the ultimate insult. I get what he's doing. It's just I don't connect with it the same way that I did with, like, the ships, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I still want to go back to the Davy Back fight and just be like, just beat the crap out of them, you can! It's like, but they have the ship and they have to do this game. I'm like, yes, but you're so much stronger than them! Gang up on Foxy and just beat up his damn face and then move on to Water 7. I get it, it's the pirate code, I get it, it's just... Oh, I don't connect with it too much. Okay, moving on to the actual chapter. We continue with the rescue of O-Tama. She gets freed from Holden's deadly lion mouth grip, and he goes down. Holden is passed out. He's done. He's not giving back up. He's not like getting a second win, like, damn it, Straw Hat! You know, no. So he's down for the count. Luffy and Tama land, and as soon as they do, all hell breaks loose, because everybody in town now, like, you can just imagine, I can't wait until this is animated, because there's just fire everywhere. People are running around screaming. You got samurai, you got the citizens of the Bakura district, you got all of Kaido's men just running around screaming like crazy, trying to capture Luffy. In the background, you got Zoro stealing the treasure ship heading to Okebore town. All this crazy crap is going on. So the second upon landing, Luffy just scoops up O-Tama and is just like, let's get the hell out of here! So they start running, and as they begin running and people are chasing them, Luffy spots Speed in the distance. Speed, the headliner, the user of the horse smile. And so, there's a lot of positive reception from Speed. I figured there was going to be, but a lot of people are really liking Speed. So, what do you think Luffy does upon seeing Speed in the distance? A, jumping on her and riding her like a horse. B, trying to eat her like a horse. Or C, decides to do a merry jig on her back. Congratulations if you picked A. This is the obvious one, I think. Yeah, Luffy immediately just sees Speed and is like, oh, good, a horse! And he, to his credit, he doesn't notice that it's a centaur at first, even though it obviously, you know, you could tell there's a human that's part of it, but Luffy doesn't see that. He just jumps on the back of this horse, wraps his arms around her, just like, let's get going, horse! You know, giddy up! And so, Speed's reaction to this at first is just, she actually does it a little bit, like, seductively, where as soon as Luffy starts, like, kind of groping her, if we're being honest, because Luffy just wraps his arms all around her very tightly, and just, like, giddy up, so you know he's grabbing onto something there. So Speed is just kind of like, who's hugging me back there? Like, get off me! And then she tries to, like, elbow him in the face. Luffy comes up with the smart idea, actually using his noodle for a change. He's like, hey, Tama, make the dango appear and feed it to her. And so, Tama does this. She does the Kibi dango and pops the dango out of her cheek, tries to feed it to Speed, but as she is doing this, she says to Luffy, like, that's not going to work on humans. It only works on animals. And I'm like, well, the easy rebuttal to that is humans are in fact animals too, so I don't see any, I know what you're going for here. I'm just distinction. But despite that, she still tries to give it to Speed. She's like holding it out. She's like, this isn't going to work, even if she eats it. Speed immediately notices the dango and is like, that looks good, and just gulps on it. And it works! Kind of. It works in the sense that she now obeys Luffy and just like, okay, master, which way do you want me to go? But then later on, she's like, I don't take orders from you. Anyway, where do you want to go? So, the best way I can explain this, guys, really, is, Luffy now has a sexy, busty horse tsundere, where it's like, I'm not gonna do what you tell me to. Where do you want to go, master? So, I don't... Alright, fine. I don't know how long this is going to last, like if the dango's effect wears off at one point, because if it doesn't, they basically just have an ally now for the rest of the arc. Like, if the dango's effect cannot be negated, what am I thinking? This raises a whole other plethora of questions, not the least of which being, does the dango work on someone that has a regular zone ability or just the artificial zone ability? Because O-Tama was pretty sure that it was not going to work on a human. So let's just take that at face value, okay? Because maybe she never tried before. Maybe she never bothered. I don't know. Or maybe she tried to eat her own dongos one time and it had no effect. I mean, the girl's only 8 years old, so maybe she tried eating her own dongos once and she was like, it had no effect on me. It didn't even satiate my hunger, so therefore it doesn't work on humans. But let's just assume it doesn't. Like, okay, Speed has a horse smile, which is an artificial devil fruit. It's created a different way. So, I don't know. There's a lot of theories that maybe they take actual animals and Vegapunk, or I guess in this case Caesar, yeah, they do something with a normal animal and take out their essence or their soul and then turn that into a smile. And that's the reason that all smiles that we see are in fact zones, because, you know, it's easier it's just a living animal that you're taking the essence out of. I know that that process seems kind of convoluted and vague, and it is. My hat's falling off. But that's maybe the best explanation I got there. So because you're using an actual animal for that, let's just assume that's how it is, Speed is now, like, she has that horse in her, and therefore that's why the dango works. This still needs to be tested on a regular zone, though. So whenever Chopper gets back into the fray, by the way, I've always wanted to, like, stop the review and talk about this. Where the hell are Sanji and Nami and Chopper doing right now? Are they just like shipwreck and land in the jungle, and they just have like a little George of the Jungle set up out there, or Tarzan, you know, like Sanji's walking around wearing a loincloth, and Nami's walking around also wearing a loincloth, you know, very scantily clad, and Chopper's like this jungle ape, you know, raccoon dog thing. I don't know, but yeah, when Chopper gets back into the fray, they need to try the dango experiment out on him. Actually, no, that wouldn't even be a good test, because Chopper was originally an animal, and then he ate the human fruit. You would need to have a human that ate a zone and see if that would work. So like Jack, for instance, you would have to try to feed it to Jack and see if that would have an effect. I'm assuming it probably wouldn't, because how OP would that be? When O-Tama was holding out that dango, Speed basically, like, O-Tama didn't even have to force it down her throat. Speed saw it and was just like mesmerized by the dango and was like, that looks yummy. And then maybe that's because she's part horse, I do not know. But yeah, there needs to be some extra testing on this to really figure out the effects of this dango. But yeah, so suffice it to say, though, for right now, Luffy has a sexy horse tsundere that will, you know, listen to his every whim, just with a little bit of attitude, but that's fine. I love tsunderes. So as this is going on, O-Tama takes this time, since they're getting away. Speed is ridiculously fast. They can't catch up to them. All the other members of the crew, Speed's subordinates, think that they're blackmailing her or something to get her to listen to her. Hey, you could also understand why Hold'em wanted her ability now, because maybe Hold'em had the same idea. Maybe he's like, ooh, maybe we can completely control the members of our crew or something with the devil, with her devil fruit. I don't know what he was thinking, but they're basically getting away scot-free at this point. So O-Tama is like holding on to Luffy as they're riding Speed, and O-Tama takes the time to mention, you know, what you did back there was really similar to what Ace did. And because Luffy used Red Hawk, and Ace, of course, had the power of the Maramara no Mi, Red Hawk is a power that was actually inspired by Ace. That's why Luffy invented it. So O-Tama makes the distinction, and she just kind of like holds on to Luffy from the back and just kind of like snuggles up to him like, you remind me of Brother Ace. And Luffy's just kind of like, and just kind of like a little question mark over his head. So, like I said before, I think the relationship with O-Tama and Luffy is going to become sort of like a big brother, little sister relationship throughout the arc. Pretty much the same thing I'm assuming that happened with Ace and O-Tama. They had that same kind of dynamic. I know that O-Tama's basically already calling Luffy, you know, big brother and everything, but I think it's going to get taken to really that level, and Luffy is going to try to do everything he can to make her life better in honor of Ace's memory. I did an Ace video earlier this week, or rather, Tekking did a Ace video earlier this week, and I went into detail, you know, regarding that and everything, his relationship with O-Tama and where this is going. But this is strengthened by another point later on in this chapter, something Luffy's going to say involving O-Tama. So yeah, the relationship is definitely improving there, considering the first time they met, he basically made her pass out with her sheer trauma. Like, by the way, that guy that you loved and wishing is going to come back every day, he's dead. So, yeah, they're getting a little bit of a rocky start, but we're getting there. By the way, I wonder what's up with that Tengu dude. I wonder if he's going to show up soon. I don't know. Anyway, we cut back to another section of Bakura Town where we have Law himself squaring off against Hawkins. And it's a pretty cool fight. I wish I could show it to you, but this video might not be up for very much longer if I did. All right, so here's the thing. I actually enjoy what Oda did here. All right, this is something I thought of last week, but it didn't really, I didn't really mention it because I didn't think Oda was going to go with it. But Law is in disguise facing off against Hawkins, right? He's got the bucket over his head. He's like, all right, Hawkins, bring it on. Now, here's the thing. Hawkins, I don't think, ever heard Law's voice before. Or if he did, it was in passing, and it was like 2 years ago, so he wouldn't be able to, like, know him by voice alone. And, of course, Law is not wearing his standard clothing. He's wearing the bucket over his head. So I started to think, like, oh, well, what about Law's tattoos? because Law has the very distinct death tattoos. So I considered that for a second last week, but then I just kind of like, that's kind of a small detail. I don't think Oda's really going to bring it up. No, he did, and I love that. I love that he did, okay, well, mysterious stranger, it's not just the tattoos, but it is part of that. Law activates his room ability, and he actually says the word room. I don't know if that's a prerequisite, like, he can't just activate room, he has to actually say the word room in order to activate it. So, room gets opened up, and then Hawkins is kind of like, wait a second. You're opening up a strange bubble space for your devil fruit ability and those tattoos. So it takes Hawkins all but like 4 seconds to figure out who he is. I just like that little mention there that, like, yeah, there's other ways to identify somebody. In Law's case, he didn't think to wear gloves, and if he did, I mean, he still probably would have figured it out, because Law's devil fruit is just so unique. As soon as activating room, you should know, like, okay, yeah, I know what this fruit is. But yeah, Hawkins figures it out right away, so the disguise really doesn't hold over. Although Law has a pretty cool scene when he's like squaring off against him, Old West style, like, I'll be taking your life now, Hawkins. So he opens up room, and something interesting about Hawkins' fruit that we find out in this chapter. Up until this point, we assumed that Hawkins' fruit was able to redirect any sort of direct injury to himself or death. So if someone's going to, like, stab Hawkins in the heart, he can alter that so somebody else takes the damage and he's fine. We find out in this chapter it's not just physical damage. It's any sort of effect on his body he can redirect to somebody else. Because Law opens up his room and just uses his sword to, like, slice Hawkins up, not doing damage to him, mind you. Remember, the same thing that the same thing that Law always does, just breaking up the opponent's body so they can't move around. Same thing he did with Virgo, not causing physical harm. He does this to Hawkins, and it's a dead-on attack, but then one of his minions behind him is the one that actually gets separated. And, he lands on the ground, the minion does, and he's just like, oh, I'm dead, I got cut in half! Oh, wait, I'm fine. So, yeah, that's an interesting factoid there, that he could redirect that, even though it wasn't damage. It wasn't going to hurt him in any way, shape, or form, but he was able to redirect it. This actually might be something that he trained with over the 2-year time skip, because remember back when he was fighting against Kizaru, Hawkins was, and there was a point where Kizaru used his light to blind Hawkins. That was a statement right there, like, oh, well, he could still get blinded. He couldn't redirect that blinding damage onto a minion. He had to just take it full force. Maybe Hawkins learned his weakness in that fight and improved his devil fruit since then, and now he can redirect any sort of effect on his body. It doesn't have to be physical damage. It could be blinding damage if someone, like, sets off a sound bomb or something. I was watching Dr. Stone this week, or reading Dr. Stone. Pretty good series. I suggest picking it up. If he did something to, like, deafen Hawkins or do anything like that, he might be able to redirect that now through his voodoo doll. So that's a cool little thing we find out here about his devil fruit. So, with that being the case, Hawkins decides to take out his straw sword, and he runs it right through Law's helmet. So he dodges it, he doesn't get hurt, but the helmet gets knocked off, and Hawkins is like, reveal yourself, Trafalgar Law, ugh. And he realizes, like, oh, you and Luffy did end up making an alliance, it was all true, we know who you are now, you were trying to stop me before you had a chance to, we had a chance to alert Jack and Kaido, but we know who you are now. Now, the cool thing is, while that's going on, the same time that Hawkins knocks off his hat, Law took that time to just do a 360-degree shing! And, all of Hawkins' minions at once just get, separated, and they fall to the ground. And then at the same time, Hawkins clashes with Law, and they have this really cool sword standoff there, where the swords are, like, locked to each other. And Law does bring up, I am a doctor after all. I really don't have any pleasure in killing people. That's not really what I do, but, it's funny because earlier on when they were having the Mexican standoff there in the alleyway, he's just like, I've come to end your life. But then later he's like, I was just trying to scare you. I'm a doctor. I really don't like to kill people. Tell that to Treble. What did you do to Treble again? Oh yeah, you took your own cut-off arm and then used it with the sword to shred his body from freaking stem to stern. Just... Did Treble survive that? I don't think we we saw him after that little, that Sturban technique. And isn't Sturban just German for death blade? So, yeah, he doesn't like to kill people unless you rip off his arm. Then he gets pissed, and it's like, all right, bro, the Hippocratic oath be damned, you cut off my arm. It wasn't even me that cut off your arm, it was Dofi that cut off your arm. He's like, yeah, but you're the one that's in the direct path of my sword, so Sturban. So that was a cool scene there. I also think, what happened to Diamante, for that matter? He got his head conked in by frickin' Scarlet's grave, so I don't know if he's still around. Anyway, this hat, by the way, is extremely annoying. It's not even really so much a hat as it is like a plushie pillow, but yeah, anyway. So that was a pretty cool standoff between the two there. At the same time, though, a Den Den Mushi is ringing on Hawkins' person, and it alerts them that it was, in fact, the thieves that took out Hold'em, and that was the worst possible scenario for Law. Law almost has a panic attack. He's just like, crap, Luffy, why? He's like, you took out Hold'em, that was the worst thing you could have done, and now they say over the Den Den Mushi, like we've already reported this to Sir Jack, and Law's like, ah, Luffy, damn it! So, this is the moment where they just have to get away. At the same time this is going on, it's good timing, the treasure ship, piloted by Zoro and Okiku, is just rushing down the street, being led by the Koma Inu. Zoro and Kiku and the Koma Inu, they're rushing down the street and they're just like, everybody better get out of the way unless you want to get trampled. And so all of the people that Law just cut up, they don't have access to their legs currently, so they can't get out of the way. I know, right? Whatever. And so they're all jumping out of the way, getting trampled. Law manages to jump up onto the treasure ship, and they just keep on going. Hawkins and the Kirin, the mythical beast thing that Hawkins was riding, they manage to avoid it. They get out of the way, and they basically make a clean getaway out of the town, but it's going to be short-lived because Jack knows about what happened. One of the headliners is taken down. Hawkins knows it's Law, you know, and they might have gotten away for now, but this is going to come back to, you know, bite him in the ass pretty damn hard in a few chapters, maybe even next chapter. So the treasure ship finally just breaks through. It arrives in Okabore Town, and this is actually one of the darkest scenes in One Piece. I'm not even kidding you. If I was allowed to show manga panels right now, I don't even know if I would show you this one, because this is pretty messed up. Even for Oda, this is pretty dark. I mean, I get what he's going for, to try to really show the just absolute suffering and starvation that these people in Leftover Town have to deal with, like the oppression, what has driven these people to do. But this is still a really dark scene, all right? So what happens is, the treasure ship arrives, and they shout to the entire town, you know, free food, everybody, all the food you can eat, all the clean water you can have, come on out and have some. And so we cut to various scenes throughout Okabore Town where people, like the children that are crying, they stop crying and they start, you know, like they start screaming in happiness. They're like, food! And they start running to it, like after an ice cream truck on a hot summer day, and all the old people are like, food, yes! There is one scene, and it's pretty small. It's just tucked away. It's like a side panel, so you might have even missed it. But there is a scene, I'm not even shitting you, where you see the inside of a house and a mother holding her infant child, a baby, with a kitchen knife over the baby. And on the other side of the room, there's an old lady, presumably the grandmother, praying with a rosary in front of a noose. If you missed that panel, please go back to the chapter and look at it to really understand I'm not screwing with you here. My jaw dropped when I saw that. That is some dark shit, Oda. Like, I'm not even gonna, like, try to overly examine that too much, like, who was the noose for? Why are you gonna kill your... I'm not even going to analyze it because it's really messed up. I mean, it makes perfect sense why Oda did it, because this is a society that is just so oppressed. The parents probably viewed it like, you know, it's better than growing up in a place like this. But still, I'm just happy the treasure ship arrived when it did, because if Luffy and Zoro and Okiku did this whole operation a day later, then maybe even an hour later, even like 5 minutes later, Holy crap! That's pretty dark, Oda. Okay, well, it's okay. It's all good. I mean, it's fine. The treasure ship is here, and somebody actually comes into the house and is shouting like, it's like, no, don't, oh, whoa, what's going on in here? I'm like, we couldn't take it anymore. It's like, yeah, no, it's cool. I'm just gonna take this noose down and just give me that knife, okay? And just, you better give me your baby too. That's, yeah, okay. But food, yeah, let's go eat. Yeah, everything's cool. They got shrimp and melon and clean water and. Oh god, this is dark. Okay. We gotta talk about this later, guys, but let's go. So, whew, that was okay. So anyway, the food ship arrives, and some of Kaido's minions raise a stink. That one of them is like a bunny mink that has like a bunny head. It's really adorable. They start running out like, hey, wait a second, that food's not a leftover yet. And then Luffy just takes this giant tub of water, this giant like tank of water, and just bam, just slams it right on top of them. They just get crushed. And he's like, here's all the water you can drink, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody has any questions, tell them Luffy-Taro sent it. And he just kind of just like shouts to the sky, and everyone's like praising him like, thank you, Luffy-Taro, thank you, Luffy-Taro. Some random location on the Grand Line right now, Bartolomeo's hair is just standing up, you know, because his whole mohawk is just like, I get the feeling that Luffy-senpai did another great deed. And then his entire crew is like, crew, salute the sky. And there's like, Luffy, you magnificent golden-hearted rubber bastard. So, okay, so this is the chapter we wanted. All of the people of the town finally happy. They're eating all the food they could possibly stomach. I mean, it's kind of the same thing within the first arcs of One Piece when Zoro was captive by Morgan and Helmeppo and he was starved for like 28 days. And then after they saved Zoro, they took him to that pub where that little girl was working at, and he just like engorges himself on food. And he's like, I'm all good now, guys. I'm like, if you okay, little bit of a biological note, like health note, okay? Not a doctor, obviously. Well, actually, right now I am a doctor, so let me tell you all the doctor facts. If you are starving to death, not a good idea to just engorge yourself on food. If you're eating nothing for like a week, or you're eating very little all week, you can't just all of a sudden just start stuffing your face, because that could potentially put you into shock and kill you. But this is manga, and these are people that have been destitute for so long. It's just so rewarding to finally see them eat something, you know? In fact, O-Tama actually has it right, because O-Tama's off to the side just eating an apple. And you might be thinking, like, just an apple? Really? All this food and she's only eating an apple? But honestly, she probably has it the smart move apart from everybody else. You know, when you're in serious starvation mode, you know, eating maybe just a little bit of just keep it slow for a little bit. Actually, a lot of rice and a lot of water. That's what you need, okay? That's what really they need there. But everything's happy. So we cut back to the town. The fire is still spreading. All of the firefighters that were fighting it, they're basically either knocked out or you know, a lot of other stuff happened to them. They were separated by law or something, so not a lot of people to put out the fires. Hawkins sees the body of Hold'em there, and he is knocked out. The lion is still conscious, so it's trying to like roar, so they can't even get close to Hold'em to like perform first aid because the lion is still like active and going crazy. And so back at the town, O-Tama goes up to Luffy, and Luffy says to her, he says, this isn't good enough, Tama. Don't worry. I'll make sure that by the time we leave this country, this will be a place where you can eat until your fill every single day. Because O-Tama was like, oh, thank you so much. And Luffy's like, thank me when we finally liberate this whole country here. Thank me when we do that. We also get another flashback of Ace here. O-Tama is remembering him, and this is something that Ace actually said also, like, the next time I come to this country, it'll be a place where everyone can eat their fill every day. Also probably explains why O-Tama has been waiting for him for so long. And it also makes me wonder, Kaido was still in control of this country by the time Ace showed up. Although like about 4 years ago. So I'm wondering, what did Ace do? Did Ace do anything to piss off the Kaido pirates? What did he do? Did he just land on the island and then learn how to make straw hats and then leave? What did Ace exactly do? So we'll find out about that. That'll probably tie back into Momonosuke a little bit there. Now, going back to Law. Law is pissed. He is furious. He's looking at Zoro first, and he's just like, what are you doing, you idiots! You kept swearing up and down you weren't gonna do anything! You were supposed to be just a wandering Ronin! You took out Hold'em! It was the one thing we told you not to do! You basically started a war. You started a war today, guys. This is a full-fledged rebellion. Jack will not let this sit. Kaido will not let this sit. You're supposed to be in the flower capital right now. What are you doing all the way out here in Curry? Implying that the flower capital is a little bit more into the center of town, so it's a little bit further out than the Curry region there. Zoro had to flee the flower capital after what happened with the magistrate and everything, so this is a separate region. I'm assuming maybe the flower capital might be its own separate, like, autonomous region. Kind of like how, like, the Vatican operates, you know? Like, there's a country all around it, and that has its own laws, but then the Vatican is special. Maybe something like that with the flower capital, the way Law puts it. And then later on, freaking Zoro has the tenacity to go to Luffy and be like, you know, Luffy, I hope you understand that you've, you started an all-out battle here where we better prepare for it. And Law's like, that is the last thing I want to hear from you. You are part of this too. You started this in more ways than one. So finally, Law's just like, all right, whatever. Okay, we have to deal with this shit now. Anyway, for right now, we have to go to the top of that mountain to where the ruins of Kozuki Oden's castle are. We have to go there, and we have to meet the 7 ghosts of Wano. And Luffy is, oh, that's what Dust Skull's doing here. Okay, hey, Dust Skull, I get it. Anyone else get it? Okay. And so Luffy's just like, ghosts? And Zoro's like, yeah, Luffy, I was pretty surprised, too, when I saw them. You're gonna be surprised, too. So, last scene of the chapter, we cut to the top of the mountain, where we see a graveyard. And in this graveyard, we see grave posts for Kozuki Oden, Kozuki Momonosuke, Retainer Raizo, Retainer Kanjuro, and Retainer Kinemon. We also see a few other graves that we can't exactly make out yet. And there's actually 8 graves, but they specify 7 ghosts. So that's going to be an interesting one. Now, what does this mean? That the Straw Hats have been traveling with a bunch of ghosts for like the last 200 chapters? Like, ooh, I'm the ghost of Kanjuro. I was a terrible artist in life and I continue on after the grave. No, I don't think that's the case. I think this is going to be a matter of like they fake their deaths or the country wants the people to believe that they're dead. But the thing is about that is that like you had Jack going after Raizo at Zo. So Jack knew Raizo was still alive and out there in the world. You had the whole thing with Momonosuke and Kinemon on Punkhausen and Dressrosa. If they were really ghosts, as in like their bodies are now buried in the ground on Wano, I don't think they'd be wandering the scenes like, we gotta find Raizo now. So I'm assuming it's just a cover story. As for these actual tombs, I like to think that there's 3 of them right now that we don't know about, okay? So there's 2 off to the side that specify they are retainers, but we do not know who those retainers are. There's also another Kozuki clan member that's right behind Oden's. The only thing I can think of there is that it's possibly maybe his wife, which would be the mother of Momonosuke. That would make sense. Maybe a brother, maybe a sister, but I'm debunking it's going to be Oden's wife. So, if we're going to assume that Oden is actually dead, he's the only one of these guys that are actually dead, they were referring to the 7 ghosts as in we're going to meet the 7 people that are going to take charge of this revolution. So Kinemon and Kanjuro and Raizo are 3 of them. Momonosuke is too young. He's still currently on Zo. But then you have the 2 other retainers that we can't see in this panel, as well as the 1 Kozuki clan member that we cannot see in this panel. So that's, I think, what we're going with here. All right, so other than that, I mean, you could maybe make an argument for the fact that they're actually freaking ghosts. I mean, it's the One Piece world. Anything, I guess, is possible, but I really wouldn't prefer that. Even so, the way that Law says this is like, you will learn an unbelievable truth. And even Zoro said, you know, I was shocked to find this out as well. So I don't think it really has anything to do with, like, the bodies of them. I think they're going to get there and they're going to be like, yeah, these are our graves just so the country thinks that we're dead, but we're really still alive. That's not what the secret is about. Here is the secret. And they're going to lay down some hot pillow talk on Luffy regarding, it's going to involve the Kozuki family, maybe their lineage, maybe something to do with the Will of D, I don't know. But it's going to be something involving that. I don't think the secret itself has really anything to do with the tombstones. I think that was maybe just Oda trying to mess with us a little bit to make us think like, well, are they traveling with ghosts, huh? I don't think so. But, yeah, now, as for the next chapter, I think we're going to have a chapter where we recap, just kind of regroup and everything, where they go to the mountain, maybe figure this out, maybe this is where we're going to get regrouped to Sanji and Nami's group. Meanwhile, Hawkins is going to take Hold'em's body and go back up to Jack's place, and they're going to figure out what to do to launch a counterattack. I have no idea what's up with Speed, guys. I guess Speed is still in Leftover Town with Luffy, right? She's still there, and as long as the dango is in effect, like I said, Tsundere Centaur Girl at their service, so okay, we'll roll with that. But I don't know how that's going to work either. There might be some way to remove that effect. But in any case, thank you guys for watching the review. I know it's annoying that there's no panels. We'll see where that goes in the future. Thanks everybody for watching, though. I really appreciate it. This will be Law Tekking signing out. Wait a second. Maybe I'm a ghost. Yeah. Am I real? No! Bye, guys!